Alright, y'all, I'm going to show you a couple things. These are shoe bars, shoe tags. So I've had a couple of people ask, where do you get the bars to make these, that kind of thing, and I've seen it in several groups. So I'm going to show you how I make these today, and they're really simple to make, and you can make them from your scraps on things that didn't go so well, on bracelets, empty bracelet blanks. So this here was a bracelet I started, and I made a boo-boo, picked up the wrong letter. So I always save these because this end piece is fine to use, nothing wrong with it. So I will cut it off and save these ends. So I have a set of these I need to make now, and I have two end pieces that were for mess ups that I'm going to use. So the next question is, how do you punch the holes in there? So there's two ways you can do that. The power punch comes with multiple ends here in it. The little punch point thing that's different sizes. So you can use your power punch and use the largest hole that you have to do it, or you can use a hand punch set. So I'm going to show you this set that I typically use. Sometimes I use the power punch, but because I don't want to sit here and change out my power punch constantly, I have got this little 9-piece punch and die set. I actually got this one from Harbor Freight. You can order it online and have it shipped to you, or if you have a Harbor Freight near you, you can run down to Harbor Freight and get this. It comes with all of these. Sorry, y'all. It doesn't want to stay open for me. Hold on. That'll hold it. It comes with sizes, and you have the metal. You can punch them yourself. But I typically mostly use this set for making these bar bracelets or the shoe tags. Okay, sorry about that. I typically use the smallest, not the very smallest, but the next to the smallest size punch for these. Because once you knock it out and punch it out, it is basically about the size that you need for doing the size for shoestrings to go in, or for your strings for your bar bracelets. So I've already punched the one hole. That's this middle hole here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut this other one. I'm going to hang this up so y'all can see. So give me just a second here. Okay. Yeah, hold on. Okay. So I'm going to fix it where y'all can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this second blank, and then I'm going to punch the hole in the end of it also. So what I use is, I have some metal shears that came from Michael's. You can order them on Amazon too, and it's just a plain set of look like scissors, but they won't cut thread or any material. They only work on metal, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut at the spot where my boo-boo ends and trim this off. And the rest of this is going to go in my scrap pile. And then I'll go ahead and hit this to flatten it. I do all the finishing work on the end of this after I get it stamped. So there's that. Hold on, I'm going to try to get this where it's a little better. I can't tell which way. I need to move it, so I'm going to do it right there. So I'm going to go ahead and punch this hole first. And I'm going to line it up under here. And so that's the nice thing about this one. I've got another one set that's bigger size holes, but it does have one that was small enough for this, but you can't see what you're doing because it's all solid metal punch. And this one, because it's clear, you can see where you're lining things up. I can punch this one, since it's a small hole, I can use my regular hammer. If it was a bigger hole, I'd use my big mallet. So I'm going to punch a hole in this. Pretty easy, because the aluminum's pretty soft. And I use it on the copper, aluminum, or brass. Mostly copper and aluminum is what I'm using. So I have my hole punched and ready to go now. I'm going to put it aside till I get to the done with these, and then I'm going to punch the hole at the other end when I get the length right, and I'll finish the ends off with my Dremel tool. So I'll check my order. Let's see what the wording is here. Because these are all custom. People order different wordings on them all the time. Or you can have some that are sets if you make a set that's, what you want, like a little saying or something in there. I do some that's for runners, for races, that's like a 10K, or, they put numbers on them. But most of mine are custom wordings. So this one, she wants the Star of Eden, the star on one tag, because it's a set, and then on the other one that'll go on the other shoe, of Eden. So I'm going to start out stamping that first. So I always cover with tape the hole, so I'm not starting my stamping too close to the edge of the hole. And I'm going to use my font that's my tried and true Amazon Hobby Lobby set. That's basically Bridget, because you can't find this one anymore. So and this is a 16 gauge aluminum, but it's very easy to stamp. Should have pulled my thing and pulled the wording all out, but I didn't. The star. Okay. So that's done. And I think I'm going to put a little design stamp on there to give it just a little extra length, since it's going on a shoe. I want to make sure it's got enough length on it to fit like it needs to too. So bear with me a second. I'm looking at a certain design stamp I have. Alright, got a little star stamp going. So we have that. That's at the end. Now I'm going to punch my second hole. And I'm going to complete this one because I want to know I want them both to be about the same length, both bars. Even though they have different wording on them. I'm going to keep them as close to the same length as I can. So now I've got to put this in on the opposite side. and put my hole on the other end. So I'm going to look at it really good so I can try to make sure I got it centered. Again, another reason why this lovely little die punch is great, because you can see better with it and see if you are lining it up good. So I'm going to punch this one. Punch the little piece on out. Get rid of that. Sometimes these things will get stuck. You might have to take another little punch and punch it out. And sometimes it'll come on out pretty easy. So there's that one done. And I'm going to take my shears and trim that little bit off where I had a monkey on the end. And I don't need that. I've got enough length here. I'm going to trim this off. When we get done with this, we're going to put it, I'm going to show you how I finish it up with my Dremel so it's smooth on the edge. And then I put them in my tumbler afterwards and let them tumble a while, because that actually helps harden the metal for me. And helps it to keep its shape. Trim this little bit of a corner just a tad. Okay, so now I'm going to go to number 2. Put that to the side. And our second one is supposed to say of Eden. So I'm going to put that on here. And I am going to put a little line. This is something I do too, just to kind of make sure I'm getting the same length on them. Because the wording is so close to the same number of characters, it should turn out pretty close, but I'm going to mark it just to make sure. Try to start in about the same spot. There we go. Right. Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to mark where my hole is so they're even. Different start there, and then I'm going to punch my hole on this side. So I've marked my hole. So it should line up pretty close with the one on the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect because they're on different feet. You just don't want it to be so odd it's really noticeable that they're not the same. End piece out. Now done with that. All done with the hole punch. Now I'm gonna check the end again, and I can cut it a little bit shorter there. There we go. Save that for the scrap box. Now this piece here where I punched it is a little bit, the ends are a little bit rough. So what I do is I have this little handy round thing. I honestly do not know where I got this thing, but it's great because it's flat on both ends. I think it came in something else I have. But I just take it and give it a little tap, tap, and that smooths that right off because it flattens it back down. And now we're going to smooth the edges. Now I'm going to go ahead and warn you, it's going to be really loud. So I'm probably not going to say much during doing it. If I do, you may or may not be able to hear me good, but because I'm going to be using my Dremel. I love my Dremel tool. I got a Dremel. I had some other Dremel tools that didn't have a flex shaft. Now, I come from a background of working in a dental office with dental handpieces, so I'm used to them. And basically, a flex shaft is basically a dental handpiece similar to what we call a slow speed handpiece that we use for trimming up dentures, making adjustments and things in a dental office. So this basically what a Dremel with a flex shaft is. A flex shaft has a long, like a handpiece part with a hose that leads back up to your Dremel. And there's different kinds. This one is not an expensive one. I mean, they make them on up to $100-something, and they have foot pedals, which I'm seriously thinking about going to one with a foot pedal because, again, I'm used to one with a foot pedal when I worked in the dental office. So, to me, that's more natural. But I have kind of gotten used to using this one because it was like a $35 or $40 on Amazon or eBay purchase, and it came with the flex shaft. Now, I've had it for a while. I've actually had to replace this part, the handpiece shaft part, because the bearings wore out. Because you have to oil it every once in a while. But after several years and me cutting a lot of silverware with it, it did wear out the little, there's like a metal rod inside there that drives the handpiece, and that went bad, and I had to get a new one. But it was only like $15 to replace the shaft. So it's pretty good for the price. You just have to turn it off and on with your up at the end of the Dremel instead of using a foot piece. So I'm fixing to turn it on, so it's going to get a little loud for a second. What I do is take this is a sanding disc. It has some little threading in it to make it stronger so it won't flake off. You don't have to use a metal tool to cut metal, actually. I found out in dentistry that a simple sandpapery type disc that you would think would break cutting metal actually cuts really well. You can cut stainless steel with it, so pretty good. And I get these little tips at Harbor Freight. I'm just smoothing up the end, rounding a little bit. To get it to the shape I want, so it's kind of rounded, not sharp. Do the other end. You want them smooth as you can get them. Then when you put it in the tumbler, it's going to finish it off. If you don't have a tumbler, you can just polish it by hand. But if you get into this and you really enjoy stamping and want to make a business, you're going to want to invest in a tumbler. And Harbor Freight has a nice one that's not expensive. You don't have to get those Lortine and all those $100 and something ones. Harbor Freight $40 one works great. I've been using mine for 8 years. It ain't failed me yet. And you can buy replacement parts for them, so. Second one. And this does take a little practice to get used to. You have to keep your fingers away from it. Wear some safety glasses so you don't have pieces of metal fly up in your face. Move the edge a little more. Almost done. And you can use these bars like this for bracelets. With the leather through the holes, shoe tags, shoe bars. You could take a piece of a bracelet like this and cut and make a bar to make on a necklace. You save your scraps. You mess up something, you stop where you're at and save what you can of it. Okay, now I'm gonna steel wool it. Give it a brush finish. It doesn't have to be a super shiny finish on these. I'm gonna put them in tumbler, and when they come out, they're gonna be shinier. But I'll probably still go back over it with the steel wool. I'm tumbling it for hardening basically this time. But color them in first so it's ready when I get ready to put it in the tumbler. And at some point I'll go over the different burrs and things you can get and where to find them for your Dremel tool. Get color in the letters with your paint marker. And I always do this before I bend it to shape. Gotta clear. Sometimes I think these paint markers are starting to go dead on me fast. They just don't put as much ink in them as they used to. alcohol wipe to clean it off a little bit. Then I'm going to get my trusty bending pliers. These are my bracelet bending pliers. These have been through a lot, I'm just telling you. I've had these for a long time. Duct tape the handle because the rubber started tearing up. But I have a pair of Impress Art ones. These were an off-brand. They used to carry at Michael's. And I have two of those. One was my daughter's. It doesn't seem to do as good as this one. This little piece here is kind of the key to it. So I do have her Impress Art one I kept, but they're all similar. But when I do these, I start this so you see how the curvature is. You're wanting to curve this just a tad, but not a lot. So I'm going to put it so I can just curve the end a little bit, start in the middle, then go a little bit here. And when I get to this end, I'm going to do the same thing, just so I can curve that end down just a little bit. So it doesn't take a lot of bend to do these, because it's going to be laying at the end of your foot, on your shoe. So it's not much of a curve to it. Maybe y'all can see that. It doesn't have to be curved a lot. It actually could be probably a little bit less. Bend it straighter a little bit. Smearing my letter. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the same thing over here. Just a little bend. You just kind of do a little squeeze and move along the line. I'll keep these set it pretty close. That's good. And these are ready to go, ready for the tumbler. So we have a set of shoe bars that I've made from mess up bracelet blanks that I was would be trashed. So I'm still getting my money's worth out of that bracelet blank, even though I messed it up. And these sell for about, let's see, what have I got them marked at? I've marked these, they go from $15 to $17 for a set. Let me see, look at my listing and see exactly how I have it set for y'all. Because people buy them in one, they might only want one, or they might want a set. So I have them listed as an option of $9 for a single, $15 for a set, actually $10 for a single, and the set is usually $17. Right now I had them on sale, so this one sold a little bit cheaper, but a lot of military buy them, runners buy them. I've had people buy them for, sorry y'all, that's my washing machine. I'm throwing that washing machine out in the trash and getting one with an agitator. If you have one that doesn't, you know what I'm talking about. But I've had schools order these for the track team, or the coach, or parent gives them for a gift at the end of the year. All the kids on the team get one, whatever. So I get them in sets like this, or I'll get people to do bulk orders for them. But that's how I use my scrap piece of bracelet, my hole puncher, and a Dremel tool, and make a bar to make these shoe bars. So doesn't take me very long. Let's see how long, 30 minutes here, and I've made my $15 profit off of this set. So I'm gonna tag out for now. Hope that taught y'all a little lesson. If you have any questions, just message me.